Master Chief, the legendary Spartan super soldier, found himself in a strange, unfamiliar place. The air was thick with a sense of foreboding and the atmosphere was tinged with an unsettling aura of unreality. He was standing on a barren landscape of jagged rocks, which stretched out in every direction as far as the eye could see. Above him, an ominous-looking storm cloud churned and boiled, casting the world in an eerie, shifting light. As he took a step forward, the ground beneath his feet shifted and groaned, as if resisting his presence. He felt a sense of disorientation wash over him, as if he had been transported to another dimension entirely. He raised his hand to his face, feeling the familiar ridges of his Spartan augmentations beneath his fingers. This was definitely still his body, his mind. But something was very, very wrong. He turned around, looking for some clue as to where he was and how he'd gotten here. And that's when he saw them. There were others like him, scattered about the landscape. They all looked like Spartans, their armor battered and worn from countless battles. But as he studied them more closely, he realized that they were not all the same. Some of them were older, their armor marked with the sigils of regiments long since disbanded. Others were younger, their armor still fresh and untouched. And then there were those who looked almost exactly like him, save for minor differences. It was as if he was seeing glimpses of his own life, played out in parallel universes. Confused and disoriented, he approached one of the others. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice echoing across the strange realm. The Spartan turned to face him, a look of recognition dawning on his face. "Chief," he said, nodding respectfully. "It's good to see you here. My name's Johnson. We've all been waiting for you." Master Chief blinked, taking a step back. "Waiting? Waiting for what?" Johnson gestured at the other Spartans scattered around them. "You see them? They're all versions of you, Chief. Different timelines, different choices. We're all here because of the Chrono Nexus. A place where time and space are warped, where timelines collide and diverge." Master Chief studied the other Spartans, trying to make sense of what Johnson was telling him. "And you say someone's been manipulating these timelines?" Johnson's expression turned grim. "Yes, Chief. There's a malevolent force at work here, one that seeks to tear apart the very fabric of reality. We've been fighting against it, trying to protect the stability of the Nexus. But we can't do it alone." "Then let's find it," Master Chief said decisively. "And stop it." Together, the Spartans began to search the strange landscape, each one bringing their unique experiences and skills to bear on the task at hand. As they explored, they encountered not only alternate versions of themselves, but also allies and enemies from across the Halo timeline. The fate of the universe hung in the balance, and the decisions they made would echo through countless timelines for all eternity. The Chrono Nexus was a labyrinthine realm, twisting and turning like a knot in the fabric of time. The Spartans found themselves battling through corrupted memories and warped realities, their sanity tested to its limits by the shifting landscapes and malevolent presences that haunted their steps. But they pressed on, driven by a sense of duty and a burning determination to set things right. As they delved deeper into the Nexus, they began to unravel the mystery of the force behind it all. It was a being unlike anything they had ever encountered, a being that existed outside of time and space, feeding on the chaos and suffering it wrought. This being, they learned, was known as the Timekeeper. It had been manipulating the timelines for eons, twisting history to suit its own nefarious purposes. And now, it had set its sights on the Chrono Nexus, seeing in it a chance to escape its eternal exile and wreak havoc upon the multiverse. The Spartans knew that they could not hope to defeat the Timekeeper alone. It was a being of such power and cunning that it had eluded capture and defeat for millennia. But they also knew that if they failed to stop it here, in the Chrono Nexus, it would be only a matter of time before the Timekeeper succeeded in its goals. The fate of everything they had ever fought for hung in the balance. They formed a plan. Master Chief would lead a small strike force directly into the heart of the Timekeeper's domain, while the rest of the Spartans would hold the line against its minions, buying time for the strike team to succeed. It was a desperate gamble, but it was their only chance. As they prepared for the assault, each Spartan took a moment to draw strength from the others. They shared words of encouragement and passed on their hard-won knowledge, ensuring that each member of the strike team was as ready as they could be for what lay ahead. Master Chief, his armor battered and scratched from countless battles, stood tall before his comrades, his eyes burning with determination. "We are Spartans," he said, his voice carrying across the Nexus. "We are warriors. And we will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We will not leave the future to the timelines of others. We will stand. We will fight. And we will win." With those words echoing in their ears, the strike team readied themselves for the final confrontation. They plunged into the heart of the Nexus, racing through corridors of shifting time and space, their every step guided by a sense of duty and purpose that had driven them since the day they had taken their vows. As they neared their target, the Timekeeper's minions threw everything they had at them, but the Spartans pressed on, their resolve unbreakable. Finally, they reached the chamber in which the Timekeeper waited. It floated serenely above a sea of swirling timelines, its inhuman visage mocking them with its disdain. But the Spartans were undeterred. They spread out around the chamber, forming a circle of steel and determination. Master Chief stepped forward, raising his energy sword high above his head. In the name of the UNSC, and all those who have fought and died for freedom, he shouted, his voice ringing through the chamber, you are hereby ordered to cease your activities and surrender yourself for trial and judgment. There was no response. The Timekeeper merely tilted its head, as if considering the Spartans' words. And then, with a blinding flash of light, it struck. The Timekeeper's minions surged forward, their numbers seemingly without end. But the Spartans fought back, their battle cries echoing through the chamber as they cut a swath through the ranks of the Timekeeper's forces. Master Chief and the Timekeeper met in single combat, their weapons clashing with a deafening roar. Sparks flew as their blows struck home, but neither seemed to be able to gain an advantage. Finally, with a savage cry, Master Chief lunged forward, his energy sword thrusting toward the Timekeeper's heart. There was a flash of light, and the Timekeeper disappeared, its essence dissipating into the timelines. The chamber fell silent. The battle was over. The Spartans looked at each other, breathing hard, their armor dented and battered. They had done it. They had saved the Nexus, and with it, the fate of the universe. But they knew that their work was not yet done. There were still timelines to stabilize, and worlds to protect. It would be a long and difficult task, but they were Spartans. They were warriors. And they would not shirk from their duty. As they began the arduous process of restoring order to the Nexus, they could not help but feel a sense of pride and accomplishment. They had faced down the greatest threat the multiverse had ever known, and they had emerged victorious. They had saved everything they held dear, and for that, they would be remembered as heroes. But they also knew that their actions had come at a cost. Many of their comrades had given their lives in the battle against the Timekeeper, and the scars they bore, both physical and emotional, would remain with them for the rest of their days. The days that followed were filled with a sense of purpose and determination. They worked tirelessly to repair the damage done to the timelines, restoring stability to the Nexus. They visited each of the worlds they had fought to protect, meeting with their allies and reassuring them that the danger had passed. They shared stories of courage and sacrifice, of comrades who had fallen in battle, and of the hope that now burned brighter than ever before. As the years went by, the memory of the Timekeeper and the battle against it began to fade, replaced by tales of the legendary Spartans who had saved the universe. Master Chief, now an old and weary warrior, watched as a new generation of Spartans rose up to take their place, ready to defend the Nexus and protect all that they held dear. He knew that the fight would never truly be over, but he also knew that they were prepared. They had been forged in the fires of battle, tempered by loss and sacrifice, and they would not break. Even as he watched them go, he could feel the weight of his duty lifting from his shoulders. He knew that the universe was in capable hands, and that the Spartans would continue to protect it for as long as there was a single threat to their existence. As Master Chief stood on the edge of a cliff overlooking a vast, untamed ocean, the wind whipping through his long, gray hair, he felt a sense of peace wash over him. He had done his part, and now it was time to let go.